Shall we start? We have enough for quorum? Okay. Oh, here, it's another thing that we handed around.
Another handout, okay.
Keep that, shall we, how do you think, or what?
What's that?
Shall we keep that till someone shows? Okay, we'll start the meeting then. Let's consider ourselves to have begun. And we have an agenda that Greg prepared for us today. And the first thing on this is the meeting of the Tree and Landscape Advisory Group. And the first thing on our agenda is mentioning the meetings that were done for us from the last meeting, January 12th. Did anyone get a chance to look at those meetings minutes? And does anyone feel that they have an emotion to either approve them or amend them?
I move we approve the minutes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Does everybody agree? Does everybody think they're okay? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks. The second thing on our agenda, what James Gibson was going to do a native plant introduction, which we've done for the 2 times prior to this one. We had sort of a little system going where one of the members would introduce a native plant and talk about its benefits and so on. And I guess while he's not here to do that today, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask the committee if they want to continue that, or if that's what they think is a good use of our time here being televised. Is this appropriate to ask this time?
It is.
What do you guys think about that? Do you want to take turns doing an introduction like that as part of our public outreach, or would you rather do it in other ways, events in town and brochures, other methods, booths?
I think it's nice to do it with the public here, because some people may not be at the events.
Okay.
Some people may not have other opportunities. And since it is televised, then it would be nice to, I think, continue that.
Okay. Any other people have similar opinions on that? Does that mean that you're willing to take turns doing this, each of you, or as many as that want to anyway?
Sure. Yes, I'm definitely willing to do this.
Oh, okay. Let's say that we agree in our minutes that we're going to continue doing this, and who would like to do it next time?
Oh, I would love to do it next time.
Okay.
Since you're looking at me,
Yeah.
since you're so big at it, yeah.
Right.
Yes, I will definitely.
Would anybody else like to go ahead and sign up so we kind of know where we are? They'll know when their turn is, or would you rather wait?
When you say native plant introduction, how many plants are you talking about? Does each person introduce one?
One.
So far it's been one.
One
Is it
plant
tree
and
or
one
shrub or
benefit.
what?
Yes.
Anything that they advocate, I suppose, would have good
Right.
reason to tell us about. We've done beautyberry and what was the other? We did 2 so far.
How long are they?
Yeah, maybe you should clarify the things that need to be presented and how.
You've seen them done, and you can give us an example. It's about, what do? You bring a picture? Tell us what you
Right,
envision.
you could bring a picture and then describe the plant and also why it's
landscape.
right. Yeah, how could you could use it in landscape and why it would be beneficial. So it's just a real simple, 2 or 3 minutes, maybe
2 or 3
5
minutes.
minutes at the most, but I think 2 or 3 minutes. So it's just a real quick explanation and just presents another native species to the public.
So Betty's going to do it. I have paper here somewhere, but you'll keep up with that.
Yes.
Betty's going to do the next one. Does anybody want to sign up for the one after that, or would you rather wait and see how it goes?
I mean, I'll sign up for the one after that if we want to start a schedule.
Okay, there's Lacey.
So that would be
May.
Kind of,
You just wait and see.
schedule a few
April.
and then go kind of month
April.
to month.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
I'll take May. Is she going to take May?
No, she said she just wanted to, well, we'll just do a few.
I will eventually take one.
Yes, yes.
So Betty in April, me in May.
Okay, so we have enough to get us started for a while and kind of set a system, and then we can always fill in as we go along. And then the third thing on our agenda is committee policies. We started to talk about that at our last meeting, and it got really long. I'm off the subject a little bit, but really long makes me think of something else to say, is that I've learned from Greg and others that this room is reserved for 2 hours typically, so we shouldn't feel like we have to scrunch our meetings into 1 hour and we can go into 2. We don't have to, just according to how much business we have in a particular time. So we shouldn't feel panicked if we take 30 minutes or 15 minutes on a really worthy topic to talk that long about it. I didn't know that, and was glad to know that. All right, committee policies was on that last agenda, and that relates to how we conduct our business in here. And Betty had, I don't know, you had learned about it from some previous meeting and had helped establish an idea or a policy. Does that tell us about what you did with that?
Yeah, so basically I went by, it's a little Robert's Rule of Order, but it's made simple, so it's a very straightforward, very small book, but it has all the information that we need in it. And I handed out each of the members the policies and procedures. Basically, we're discussing the officials. We have a chair and a vice chair and a treasurer if and when this is needed. The meetings, we have about the meetings, so we have held monthly at times that the committee decides on. The elections are to be held at the January meeting, and the elected officials will take over the following time. And then we have the rules of order, which I said was with Robert's Rule of Order. And then I have the roles of the presiding officers. The chair is to preside over the meeting and enforce the rules and recognize who is to speak. The secretary is to record the proceedings. And the quorum, anytime we make decisions or vote, we need to have a quorum, and that's a minimum number of members that are required to be present for conducting business. And a majority will be more than half of the members will need to be present, which you pointed out we did have a quorum. And the order of business is a call to order, reading and approval of the minutes, old business, new business, open forum for members or guests, further announcements and the adjournment. And with making a motion, the purpose is to present a proposal for discussion, and only one motion at a time is allowed on the floor, of which I have violated in the last time. I think I had 2 or 3 motions on the floor at one time, but that was remedied. And then anytime you want to speak, you need to be asked to be recognized. And when you have the floor, you can present the motion by saying, I move, or I make a motion. And then a simple second, which we had just a few minutes ago on how, and that I think we did that very well. We followed that procedure. And then the chair can state the question and state it's moved and seconded. And then we would consider the motion and then ask for a vote. And we can make amendments to a motion, and the chair would recognize, and you can state the motion and what amendment, and then say the vote is taken to the main motion as amended. And then you can have a postponement of the motion to maybe to chair it for the next meeting or whatever. And then the last thing is the committees. We have standing committees, and it's not really needed because we ourselves are a committee and of the city. And there could be a special committee that we could create for a special purpose, and then a motion can be made to create the special committee, and then the committee can be appointed by the chair. And those are just very simple, straightforward. Yes?
Something here doesn't look right to me. It's under number 3, elections. A, elections are to be held at the January meeting. B, elected officials to take over the following January.
The following meeting.
The following meeting, yeah.
Yes.
That makes more sense, thank you.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much. I saw that and I thought, well, I'm not going to say that out loud. I was trying to sneak through that without anybody recognizing that that was a mistake, but thank you for pointing that out. Yes.
The only other thing I see is, I noticed that one also, but on 5, where it says under B, it says a motion to be made to create a special committee. We generally refer to them as subcommittees.
Okay.
So the motion to be made to create a subcommittee.
Okay. Thank you. I'll make both of those corrections, and I will post this so Greg can send it on email, so I do not want to particularly print this off again because we all have this, so we will save paper, and I'll make the corrections and send it to Greg, and Greg can then send it out to the members.
And I think it's really helpful to me that the last group, advisory committee, took the time to figure out some policies and procedures. And I want to tell you that I plan to try to follow them as best I can. And I want you all to be kind of sentries. I mean, sentries, that's people who guard and watch. Try to watch and let me know if I'm getting off the track. And also, especially you, since you understand them, you helped create them. So if you'll be our helper, if we get off track, let us know. I'd appreciate it. Okay?
I'll do my best.
Great, thanks. Alrighty, I put next on the agenda, I think Greg put this for you anyway, in general we want to discuss about our committee goals for 2011. We've been going around with the goals list from 2010 for ages, and I was at home today looking it over to see, each time we go over those things we say, oh, we've done that and we aren't interested in doing that, and I thought we should come to some particular conclusions about our goals for this year, and maybe even form another subcommittee or two, because we have one thriving subcommittee that's doing some things, but there are several other things that could be done as well, and people may be interested in doing them. So,
Excuse me, what is the thriving subcommittee?
The thriving subcommittee is the subcommittee that's creating events, right? Actually, the first two were talks, but then the second two will be events for people to attend, to learn more about how to take care of their land in various ways. Right now the subjects are invasive species, and the second subject is going to be native landscaping. We'll talk about that whole schedule pretty soon, because that subcommittee has to make a report later on in the meeting. But Cindy will be making a talk on next Tuesday. It's one of our events. That's the group I'm talking about, that particular group. Now where's my copy? I keep losing it. Oh, here it is. This page right here, which Cindy doesn't have a copy of. Could I have one more? I just keep asking for these things.
That's okay.
Okay. This exactly looks like the one from last year, but I had mine so marked up and torn up that I thought I'd retype it. So I don't think I've left anything out. And this says proposed 2010 goals. And this one up here says Tree and Landscape Advisory Committee 2011 goals. That's this year. And at the first of this year, or the last of last year, our committee decided on 4 goals for sure, and those are the 4 at the top. And I even want to ask you about one of those in a minute. And then the other goals are listed below, and I tried to fill out a little bit more what it would mean to do some of these things, and there are some I didn't write about, but some of you may have ideas about them. I think we should discard some of the goals. I think we should keep some goals. I think we should get simple if we can, and just focus on a couple or 3 things and do them if we can. I don't know if that's what I hope. I shouldn't say that. I'm just hoping for that among all of us here. Anyway, we will be doing, we've always done apparently an annual tree giveaway. We'll do it again this year in the fall. That's something we all can participate in if we want to. And that will be at the square at the farmer's market on a certain Saturday, probably.
Well, that's an issue that you will need to discuss probably at our May meeting.
Is it? Okay, explain.
Well, I mean, it's up to the committee. You don't have to have it at the farmer's market. If you would want to have it at a different location and sponsor some kind of event, you know, such as an Earth Day event or something that, you know, if you wanted, and I'm not saying this year because we're already past that point of being able to, but I mean, it is up to the committee to look at, you know, proposing some kind of Arbor Day event or something to go along with it. And if you want to move it someplace, as long as the city could accommodate that location, then we could look at those things. But, you know, right now, it has been at the farmer's market for 12 years. It has gone from being on the first day now to being in the fall. We just could discuss the different items.
Good
point.
point.
If there's anything that the committee would see as a benefit to having it someplace else.
Good point.
You know, it has been there for 12 years. I don't think there's anything wrong with the farmer's market. I'm just, you know, letting the committee know that you have that option.
It might be more educational in a different way or something. Should we put that on the agenda for a future, you want to do that, talk about this sometime in the future, how and if and where?
It needs to be decided very soon,
Aye.
because we have to order the trees.
Even if it's for the fall, I guess so.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the problem is the nurseries start running out of 1 and 3 gallon trees by the time we get to October, because they're starting to upgrade them into bigger pots or into you know, selling them or something like that. So usually I have to get the trees usually in July, end of July.
Okay.
So in May, I'll bring information on what we've done in the past, the species, and then we'll have a discussion on species and.
Cindy wanted to say something?
Well, and I was just going to say that initially we had it in like April, but we had that Easter freeze and damaged a lot of trees.
I remember.
And then plus it gets so hot so fast that some of them don't survive. So that's why the committee decided to do it in the fall.
Does the committee want to try to figure that out today, or do you want to put it on the next agenda?
Well, the only thing is, I mean, it's too late. It is too late this year to do it in April.
Yeah, if you want to.
Oh, I know that. Oh, I understand that, but
we'll have
location-wise, that sort of thing, planning the event.
That we can discuss next month, but it's not something that we need, I guess, to go into detail today.
Could we put it, I move, we put it on the agenda for next month.
Emily moves. Okay, did we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Lacey seconds that we're going to put that on our April agenda. Any more thought on that? Anybody want to say any more on that subject before we vote on it?
How is the funding for that? Is that out of the escrow?
That is, the city provides that funding for the trees.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody else have any questions or comments before we vote on that? Then all in favor of putting it on our agenda for April, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Okay.
Then we will be sure to put that on our agenda for April. Okay, then the others are, the other of those 4 goals that we thought we were going to do, develop and implement ongoing public education program, and that's underway. Develop and distribute informational material on the proper planting and maintenance of trees. That's kind of underway. And develop a long-range plan. So that number 3 and number 4, those are the ones we voted on last year that we wanted to be all of these. I wonder what the committee thinks about 3 and 4. If you think that we could incorporate 3 into our various outreach programs. Oh, I know, develop and distribute. Okay, anybody want to say anything about that, bottom line? As a goal? Does it work with our other goals, or does it need to be its own special goal, or can we borrow other people's things? That's what I was wondering about.
Yeah, I think with us, with distributing informational material, I think that there should be informational material available from other sources besides us having to develop that, and also with the funding and things of that sort. I think there are other places available for that material that we could get from those sources, rather than making
Well, and in fact, I'm going to give this to you, but Missouri has a wonderful, wonderful conservation program, and I was able to get 25 copies of many things, but we can't rely upon other states.
Curse of the bush honeysuckle. Very helpful. Say something, Cindy, more about that.
Well,
Can't
and
rely on other states. Continue.
Dr. Steinkraus and I are going to try to put together something in the next couple of weeks and publish.
So bottom line, we are going to create some local brochures, and frankly, the FNHA, you pass those around, I guess, can you see?
Yeah. We only have 25 copies, so, you know.
If you don't have a use for it, give it back.
But
something like that.
FNHA, I would commit through Fayetteville and Bloom to donate some money. If there's, and I know the budget is tight, but even if the city could donate, you know, $100 or a couple $100, we could get the City of Fayetteville logo on these brochures. But we're talking about primarily a trifold where we have full color and identify the honeysuckle top 5 or 6. But Missouri is really in what they have.
So it's true, we can get Missouri lets her order these as a resident of Arkansas, so we can get other people's things. It's just that it would be nice eventually to have some things that are specific to us, especially things that we really want to emphasize locally. Anyway, let's say something, Evelyn.
Just as an item of note, I have had 2 bush honeysuckles just sort of get so big that they just died, and I didn't have to, I don't like to use poisons and things, but anyway, I was able to chop them down and then eventually, you know, dig up the roots a year later, but they just got so big they just died on their own.
Wow,
So
goodness, so there is hope.
there's hope.
Good. So, maybe before I ask you about number 3 or 4, these goals, maybe we'll look through the other goals. Would that be better to look at all of them and then think which are going to be the ones we focus on this year? How about, and develop the long-range plan. Does anybody have any comments about that? I have comments, but you have. I want to hear your ideas on it. Is it worth our time to sit and make a long-range plan? Wait,
Look at Cindy.
Okay, look at Lois.
Look over that way.
What do you think, Lois?
I think there's enough to do at the present time. I'm just getting started. I would like to just know what our immediate goals are, really.
I kind of thought it'd be better if we could develop a couple of concrete things to do instead of, I mean, I don't even know how we could long range it. We could do it if that was our only thing to do, but it won't get us very far as actually having results that we can give to people, concrete results. Do you think?
Yeah, I'm like you. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So what the biggest thing is the financial aspect. I mean, there are wonderful ideas. I can get a lot of people on this committee can do things. But it takes money. I mean, even this brochure we're talking about with Dr. Steinkraus, it is taking money to get that
Cindy,
done.
how does that fit into the long-range plan category subject here? In other words, is that something you propose for a different goal, fundraising for the committee, or?
Well, I mean, that is certainly part of it. I think there's a lot of things that we can do as a committee. But how are we going to pay for it is the big issue. I mean, there are lots of wonderful things, even things that you can order from other organizations. I could probably get a lot more of those brochures, but at some point we're going to have to pay for those.
Sure.
And where are we going to raise the money?
Would you like to propose that we have a goal on here that we would like to find fundraising sources of funds to help us with our goals? Would you like that to be one of our goals?
I mean, that certainly is an option, but in this economy, the city is not going to be able to fund anything.
No, I'm saying fundraise of some sort. I'm asking if you'd like us to figure out a plan to raise some money.
And it's just tough. It's just tough to raise the funds.
Yeah, I think you were talking about I think instead of maybe having developed long-range plan, if we would just have consistent, like we have here about the tree giveaway, just have things that we do each year, which in a way it would be a long-term goal, but it would be, these are things that we're going to do each year. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Annual plans that could carry
Annual plan, right,
Okay.
right. And I think sometimes there's so much, I mean, trying to look really far off. I think it would be better for us to have these yearly plans that are consistent. And because I really don't, I mean, I myself, I cannot even think right now of what would be a long-term goal.
Yes.
I mean, I think we need to take a step at a time. Well, let's do this. Well, that's great. Now let's do this. So,
One of these will relate to a long-term goal down here.
Exactly.
But yes, okay.
yeah.
What do you say?
I also feel that it would be better to focus on immediate goals. For one thing, because you know, the weather is continuing to be unusual, and we don't know if there might be, you know, another ice storm or some other sort of storm which could damage a whole lot of trees in Fayetteville, which would affect
Our long-term goal.
what we're going to do. So I think it's better to approach it on a yearly basis, perhaps.
Lacey?
Yeah, I think the point that Cindy was trying to make, correct me if I'm wrong, but that it's kind of hard to plan in the future, I mean, without like kind of budget, I mean, that's what you're saying.
Yes,
So you
yes.
can't,
Oh, there you
it's
go.
kind of impossible to.
So do I hear a motion by any chance that we will not try to
Nancy.
develop a long-range
Nancy,
plan?
If I could, you don't need to make a motion on each
Oh,
individual
great.
thing on here.
Oh, great.
When you adopt this, you will adopt it as an entire document.
So what should we do, sort of make a, say we're
Make
going
a
to
note.
note that we may abandon this one. That's not
Yes.
the word I use.
Yes.
Sounds kind of sad, but, okay.
And then number 4.
And that's, I did that for number 4, and how about, what was the conclusion on number 3?
I think,
Say something
number
else.
3 goes with number 2.
Okay, I think that goes with all our
Right.
outreaches
2 and
myself.
3 go
Because
together.
I know Cindy's gonna have, you're gonna have something to give out to people
Yes.
at your talk.
Sure.
And everybody, at our event, we're gonna have,
Okay,
there'll be plenty of.
so this public out includes in distributing
Right.
informational material.
I think
creating
those
it,
two
we
can
have-
go together.
Okay,
2
good,
and 3 go together, 4 is gone.
Yeah.
great. All right, let's go down to this one below. Produce an information video pertaining to trees and landscaping to be aired on CAT or other media. And I want to comment that we were videotaping everything we've done, these 4 programs. I mean, at least the first 2, the one of Don Steinkraus and the one the city's going to do. And I think Fru has agreed to also do the one on invasive species, and probably we'll do the 4th one. Would that suffice for meeting that goal for a while?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Yes.
And she's going to edit them. They're not quite ready to show yet, but when they are, we're going to try to take them to the library and also get them shown on the educational TV. So should I leave that on there? But we're doing it. Should it stay on the list? That we're something we hope to do. Is that it should stay on there? I guess it's a goal. What do you think, Lois? I don't know how to say it. Or we don't need to try to accomplish it.
No, I don't think we
Okay.
don't need it.
All right, let's say
That's
that
been
one.
accomplished.
Right. Conduct study on the benefits and problems to determine the city's urban forestry program. I might not have quoted that exactly right. And Greg explained that to me when I went down to visit with him, and he kind of explained what that might be if we did that. Can you say it again?
Actually, I'm not sure what it is.
Sorry. It's something about helping us understand where we are with our urban forests in the city, and if we have
Well,
problems. Is that what you told me, or something?
I think it, because it wasn't written this way the first time, and I don't.
Oh.
Do you have that original sheet? Maybe I can refresh my memory on
Yeah, you can
where
find it
we're
there.
going with this one.
Would you conduct a study on the benefits?
Yeah, I think we were looking at trying to take the information we have from our high tree studies that we had from the inventory that we did, and taking the benefits that were calculated out of that and producing some information that could be put into a brochure, that we could get that out to people, showing that these trees have a monetary value to them. They produce so many environmental benefits each year that tree is worth this amount of money. Trying to make people a little bit aware of the value of a tree.
Okay.
And I hate to be the naysayer, but the problem is the money.
I know.
The city does not have the money to do that.
And that would take a lot of time on someone's part to conduct a study.
But also,
If Greg could put the information together, we might be able to get some funding. But that's one of the things that we need to look
Let's
for.
just leave this as a possible goal, and at the end, to see if it's one we want to keep or reject compared to the others. How
Right,
about
that's
that?
number 2 is a questionable goal.
All right, let's consider that questionable. Okay. And the third one, conduct one meeting of a TLAC, our committee, off-site to generate interest in the committee. Which among us think that's an important and helpful thing to do?
I think that would almost go with the myth about the public education. Therefore, with number 3 would go with number 2 at the top, because after all, having these various presentations would generate interest in our committee. So I think this one is I think I would take that out. I mean, and because to me, it is already in number 2.
When we present these events, we're going to try to remember, and we always do in the information we send out, that it's sponsored by the Tree and Landscape Committee. And I hope we've been doing it in the past, that when any members are there, we introduce ourselves, all of us, so they know we're there and we're interested, and that could be our way of making them know we're interested in. So
I think we can eliminate number 3,
Okay.
because I believe that is addressed in number 2, because...
great. Okay. We're already making ourselves visible as we can.
Exactly.
At one way at least. Launch efforts to fill all positions of the committee. That's one of the goals from last year.
I think we did that.
We have one vacancy on
And
it.
we may have
We've
another.
done great. I mean, I think we've done a really good job.
But you see my comments here, if you keep us posted, staff, or who knows, who keeps up with that? The city clerk does.
Yes.
If we know that there's one vacant, and isn't there, I think there's one vacant right now, we should among us make an effort. I mean, we don't know when it's to be filled again, each quarter, is that it?
Yeah.
So
Wasn't
any
it-
time now, there should be an opening.
Wasn't it to be filled by somebody from the
Utilities?
utilities? For some
But they
reason
will-
that
That
was
one's
in my
hardly
mind.
ever filled.
But then, but they will take another person.
Oh,
if
they
someone-
will.
They
Okay.
will.
If that will
If they
not.
can't
Okay.
find the utility, they'll take
Alright.
another person. So I think that all of us should be, it sounds like, I think there's one and maybe two that are gonna be open. Network among ourselves, and if we don't, how can we know if we can't communicate by email as a group? How can we know if we don't have someone that's going to apply? Because then we can send it out, we can promote it in other ways, like networking among the organizations we work in.
Well, I
Right?
think the video, we can also say, we need
Let's do it.
one or two people.
We have one or two
prefer-
vacancies.
Right now you have one vacancy. Just to go back, I heard you say something about you can't communicate via email. I want to clarify that.
Help me.
Yes.
You can send emails back and forth to each other. You can't conduct business. You can't ask for people to vote on anything or conduct any kind of business of the committee across emails or any other electronic devices or anything like that. Any business is decided on by the committee has to be here at the allotted time. It has to be announced to the public that that meeting is going to take place. So if you wanted a special meeting, if something came up and you needed to take action for some reason, you can call a special meeting. But it doesn't, we have to have it, get it to the city clerk, we have to have it advertised prior to that meeting taking place.
Well, on this particular subject, can we email among ourselves to see if anyone's found a couple of people that would like to apply? Is that okay to do?
I believe that would be fine if you're just doing a search. You're not asking anybody, do you approve of this person
No,
being on the
none of
committee?
that.
And I think you can make the plea
Yes.
to TV that we need.
Well,
A
we're making it
couple
clear
of
now, but yes, we would like members of the public that would like to help us on the Tree and Landscape Advisory Committee to apply. We have one vacancy for sure, and we may have another, and I think it has to be done in the first quarter of the year, which would be pretty soon. And we would welcome that if the members of the public apply, that would be wonderful.
The application is online and it's available through the city clerk's office as well.
Great, thanks. So we may not need to consider that a goal if we continue doing it, you know, as we do. Then there was a fifth goal, have a presence at the Fayetteville Street Committee meetings. What do you guys think about that as a goal?
When are the Fayetteville Street Committee meetings?
I don't have a listing of-
They gave us information, but I don't know it right now. We can find out when it is and do it, but let's see.
Do they meet once a month as we do, or?
I would assume.
I think they meet at least once a month. I think it's once a month. We can get those meeting dates to you.
Okay. And the usefulness of that would be because you are involved and we are as your helpers.
Well, decisions are made about streets and about sidewalks and trails and stuff like that, and it's an opportunity for this committee to learn where those are going to happen, when they're going to happen, and if there's any possibility of adding street trees or other, you know, plant amenities to these programs and projects that are coming up.
Any thoughts on whether we should try to have that as a goal, or do you want to put it as one of our question goals to where at the end and see if it's one of our priorities or not?
When do they meet?
Lois?
Right now, I don't have that information for you. I believe it's once a month.
Good, let's leave it for next month, when we find out.
Whether anybody wants to do it or not, you mean?
Well, what times are, because that's kind of important.
Yeah.
Well, right now, you're not determining who's going to go. You're just determining
Yeah,
if you should keep
right.
it as a goal.
Whether it's worth
Oh.
our time compared to other things.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That would be a questionable goal.
I think, you consider it questionable?
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's to have a presence at the farmer's market.
That's a questionable goal.
You consider that to be questionable as compared to others?
Well,
What does that mean, really?
And that folds into number 2 above,
Right.
you know, with your ongoing education, public
Exactly.
education plan.
I think so too.
I have a question related to that. I'm friends with Peggy Maringer, who is one of the managers, and I know that they have discouraged some people from having their booths right on the main part of the square. You know, in other words, I believe there's limited room there, and I wonder whether we would even be able to have a presence there, even if we wanted to. You know, in other words, would there be room for us to set up a booth? Would they want us to set up a booth? There's a lot of people who want to have booths there.
Yes,
so that's a question I have that we would have to find out if we would even be able to have this much of a presence there.
That would be, if it was a goal,
You
that subcommittee would have to explore if that would work.
As it stands right now with the farmer's market, if we had a booth, it would probably have to be on the outside,
Right.
somewhere either by the town center or something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
I don't know where they're at right now, but I did hear probably 5 months ago or so that they were talking about expanding the farmer's market in the square down there, so there'll be more, because they do have so many people who want to be there.
Yeah.
They're talking about some changes that they may be making to expand it on the outside of the square a little more, but I don't know, because that all has to be approved by the city. I don't know where that they are on that process. So it's a possibility that there'll be, other areas to have a booth in.
Well, and just I can speak from the American Bloom program that, because we try to sell some things and do some fundraising, you can only do that once a year to make any money. Marilyn Hefner controls the area around the town center, so she can give permission to do that, but it is also a matter of the manpower.
That's what I meant.
Saturdays in summer is tough.
I just wanted to see if that's something we're interested in even pursuing. That's what this is all about. Just whether it's a goal we want to even do compared to other things that we can do.
Nancy, also,
Sure.
it wasn't mandated that it had to be every Saturday.
By the way,
You could pick 4
once-
Saturdays, one in spring, 2 in the summer, and 1 in the fall, whatever the committee thought they were capable of doing.
Okay.
Oh, maybe, I'm sorry.
I thought of something else too that Greg's often mentioned. It's true, we are a committee, but all these subcommittees and other plans all these goals can be accomplished with the use of other people can participate. It doesn't have to be us there, maybe one of us or 3 of us or 2 of us, but we can find other people to help us do any of these things that people are interested in some of these subjects and they will help. So that's a good point to remember. Betty?
But I was thinking about with the tree giveaway, if we did decide to keep it on the square around the farmer's market time, maybe a month before the tree giveaway would be a really nice time for us to be at the farmer's market and to kind of say, hey, next month we're going to have a tree giveaway here. Okay. So maybe that might be a good time for the presence at the farmer's market.
And this is why we're giving these certain trees away, because
Right.
they're natives.
An educational opportunity.
A little, yeah.
But, yeah.
And do that right before the tree giveaway. That way when people come the next time, they'll be ready for the trees and ready for they will understand it more. So I think that would be a good thing.
So for a while, keep that as a goal, at least a possible goal, until the end of the month.
Yeah, for maybe one
We may keep that.
Yeah.
Well, the other possibility is the mayor has a table
Right.
in the...
We don't have to actually make the decisions now, we're just trying to decide if we're making a goal or not.
But for example, I mean, this can be a goal, but if we have the flyers or information that we can give away, we can put that at the mayor's table. And we don't have to personally man it
Okay,
every weekend.
that would be one way to accomplish some of that goal.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then 7, develop a tree and landscape award to honor a neighborhood business that has been, neighborhood or business or something.
I think it's supposed to be residential.
A resident that has made a significant contribution in a way of tree and landscape, I suppose, to the community.
Correct.
Yeeks. She didn't copy it right, did she? Whoever did this. See, tree and landscape award to honor a neighborhood business or group who has made a significant contribution to the community. It's pretty much the same. But is that a goal that we would like to pursue?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
What are you thinking, Lacey?
That gets down to the funding issue of an award.
I
So
see.
you would have to, if you had that as a goal, you'd have to set your fundraising goal first and then come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that, I mean, I don't really particularly.
I think it's an important one to recognize a development or somebody who has done something above and beyond. I encourage the committee to keep thinking about it.
I think it's a good goal myself, but also I agree that unless we have a committee that's willing to work on fundraising, we really don't have a way to accomplish
To
this
award it,
goal.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So is it a possible or a keeper or a tosser?
It's a question.
I know the neighborhood association is doing a similar award right now, so.
In their own neighborhood? That sounds like a good idea. Develop a program to make trees available when needed. These are native trees. Greg, speak to us a little bit about the need for this.
Well, again, I'm not real sure on the idea of making trees available when needed. What this originally came out of is we've been talking for the last 2 years about the need for a tree farm where we can control some of the species that the city's able to get. Because right now it's very difficult to get some species anywhere within a local geographic area. And even if you can get some of these species, their growth habits are not good quality sometimes. And so we've been discussing how might a tree farm come about? How could we enlist volunteers, working with the city to, have land possibly down by Combs Park or something like that, where we do have an irrigation system that's at least put in. It's run to an area where we could do a tree farm, but it's not like there's sprinkler heads or anything there yet. It's just the line is run that far. How would this come about? How would we make this work where there would be trees available? Then the thought process was, I forget who brought this particular idea up, is that we could possibly do, if we were able to produce enough trees through the tree farm, we might actually be able to do like a giveaway from the tree farm also, maybe above and beyond the celebration of trees, that we might be able to make some trees available for people who want to plant them in the right of way in front of their house or something like that. Those were just some ideas that were kind of batted around, nothing concrete about that.
And I wrote some things down here. I said subcommittee could research whether the city has any land available as a site, or can explore ideas of recruiting the Corps of volunteers to plant and care for seedlings, grow them into trees, or teach local gardeners how to grow seedlings and ask them to grow two for you and two for us. Anybody got any idea? Does that light anybody's fire? Is that something somebody would like to try to make happen, or at least learn if it's possible? I mean, anyway, that's not ours. I guess is that a goal anybody would like to leave on the list? Is what I should ask at this point.
That's a long-term goal, isn't it?
It is, but like we said, to get to somebody said, I mean, I'm the one that said it, that one of these goals, and this is the one, would take some doing this year and next year and next year. It would take somebody working on it each year until it became either abandoned or happens.
Well, let's put that on our only long-term goal.
We have a long-term goal then.
There you go. We've got a long-term goal.
You guys
There
want a
you go.
long-term?
Yes.
Do the rest of you think that's a good idea to have as a long-term goal?
Yeah. And really, number 7, if we're talking about an award and stuff, go back to the tree giveaway. The perfect time to make a little statement on that would be, if we want to say, hey, these people did a great job, then go back to the tree giveaway and make a little, it doesn't have to be a plaque or anything, but just as I want to recognize. Why do we don't have to do a plaque?
I was thinking how many people, they might like the plaque, but they'd much rather have the coverage in the paper and the recognition. Maybe a sign. We can't even put a sign in their yard because we don't have money. But
No. But just the recognition, and then be sure that there's somebody there from the newspaper that this person has been given. We want to recognize this person, this business, this neighborhood as whatever. So I think just the fact that you recognize somebody for that, and then that could go at the same time with the tree giveaway, because that's where we're gonna have the biggest volume of people.
They could be worked together,
Yes.
but there does need to be this one does take somebody, some people, to learn how to make a criteria, how to decide who that person or that city or that business or neighborhood or person. How do you determine who gets the award? And that would take a little bit of work by somebody.
Oh, Greg can drive around with
What
He's
you would
me
do is
outside
you solicit nominations.
Ah, okay, okay.
So I think we need if we did that, I think we need a subcommittee that kind of figures that out, how that all works.
Solicit nominations. Okay, well, darn, sorry, Greg.
Ah.
I know you want
Greg
to do
has
that.
enough to do.
Just one more thing. Yeah, he's not gonna be sitting by me anymore. Or maybe so, he could kick me under the table.
So let's look at this list.
That's your job.
Yes. Let's look at this list and see if we've gotten rid of some of these things and can focus on some of them for this year. And, okay, we're
One
both.
is done.
What's that?
One is done.
1 is done, 2 is done, 3 is part of 2, 4 has just become number 8, the long-range plan. I don't know how we'll redo this, but we'll figure it out. We're not doing number 1 on the bottom's batch. Conduct study on the benefits. What did we decide on that?
I've got a question mark.
You guys want to conduct a study on the benefits and the problems? Determine if you want to have a subcommittee on that?
You know, I think there's enough literature out there that if a couple people just Google, you can get enough information.
No? Do we have anybody in the committee?
But then it's how we distribute that information.
Remember,
And I'm sorry, I'm not going to volunteer.
Okay.
just remember, we're not assigning tasks. We're
Okay.
just trying to get.
Okay, good point. If we leave it on here, though, I think that means somebody they would like to do it, because I don't want to leave something here that's not done if we say it's one of our goals. So be thinking, if you say you want one of these goals in there, be thinking, well, that's a goal I might be interested in at least. So do we want, as a group, to conduct a study on the benefits and problems to determine the city's urban forestry program?
I don't want to do it.
Do that?
I do not want to.
Okay, anybody else do, does anybody?
Does anybody want to?
Does anybody volunteer to do it? That's what
I should have, well,
yes.
trying to.
In a way, yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm
keep it
taking
on.
that one off, if that's okay with you
Keep-
guys.
Yeah,
Take number
let's
2
take
off.
it off.
Yes.
And then conduct one meeting, we've already decided that goes up with number 1. Launch all efforts, we've got that covered. Have a presence at the Fayetteville Street Committee meetings.
We need to find out more.
Okay, so we'll leave that one as a question for next time if we want to continue as a goal. And then have a presence at the farmer's market, we're going to put that with number 1, is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Develop a landscape award, that's going to go with number 1, 2, number 1, right,
Yes.
and 2. And develop a program to make trees available when needed. We said we want that as our, so we pretty much know where we stand on this goal. So we'll leave the motion in a second though to adopt them.
I make a motion that we adopt what we just went over as our goals for 2011.
Okay, Betty adopted it. I mean, motion moved it. Did anybody second it?
I second.
Emily seconds it. And that, all in favor say aye. Oh, any discussion?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any discussion more on this subject? Maybe we should have moved it before we discussed it. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, let's see.
Well, I just, the only thing is, I know you want to adopt this today. It might be somewhat better to clean this up.
Oh, yes.
And bring it back
Yeah.
next month and have a vote on it, but that's.
Good point. And that's fine. Does anybody want to amend their motion that we bring it back in a more clear form?
I amend my motion that we clean it up and present it at our next meeting, all cleaned up, so we can.
Okay. The only thing is, I was hoping we maybe get a subcommittee on one of these things or two today, so.
Well, and that would be my only comment is that before we adopt some of these things, we need to have the people who are willing
You're right.
to do it.
Yep.
Right.
Done. Good. Say,
Motion.
oh, a motion's on the
You have
floor.
an amendment to the
Amendment to the motion that
You
we
have to
bring it
have
back
the
in a
person
clear
that's-
form.
You have to have the person
Better
that's
than I am, I
originally
know.
second it,
Okay.
if they will second it as well.
Emily, would you?
I will second the amended motion.
Then we bring it back in a clearer form.
Yes.
Any discussion on that amended motion?
I would comment on Cindy's.
Okay.
You could still, even though you haven't adopted this, you could still have a discussion on those people that are interested in some facet of this. You wouldn't be able to give them the ability to form a subcommittee at this point. You'd have to wait till next week. But you could find out who's interested if you wanted to do that at this point on these goals.
Okay. Okay. The amendments to the motions on the floor, and how many people would like to, if you would like to see this written in a clearer form next time, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, would anybody like at all to say anything about if they have an interest in any of these, or should we leave that till next time as well? Does anybody, any of these particular subjects, goals?
Well, certainly the tree giveaway.
Okay.
Why don't we go through everyone and ask if, is that what you'd like? You would like to go through everyone that we've approved?
No, I believe you've been keeping notes on the ones that.
In general, we've approved, but Lois is suggesting that maybe we see if there's interest on each
I
one of them.
mean, do you need to have it?
No, not really. I just,
Okay.
I don't, but I think it'd be hard to vote on it next time and adopt it unless we know that people are gonna actually be interested in some of these things.
Well, I think we hashed it out pretty good.
Okay, well, let's just leave it then and bring it back in a clear form and maybe go a little farther next time.
And it would be helpful to know specifics such as
When is the street?
when the street committee met, but also when the tree giveaway was going to be, for example. Because, you know, like if I have a gig out of town, I can't do it, otherwise I would love to, you know.
Yes.
I mean, specific things.
But you can,
would be helpful.
one can help with the planning of them though, whether or not one was there in these committees. So that's what really the point is. If someone wants to help with a particular.
Well, and just from experience, the last year, when we did in the fall, we had to kind of work around the Razorback games too. So we'll have to take a look at the calendar for the actual giveaway.
And we'd have that on the agenda for next time as far as the actual date, so that'll be helpful. Okay, I'm going back to the agenda now, and I'm looking at committee introduction to the tree escrow account. So, Greg had brought it to us.
Yeah, what that is that probably in June, I will be bringing to you a listing of the tree escrow projects for this year. And just to give everybody kind of a background on what tree escrow is that when we have a development that comes in, say a subdivision that is being built, they have the option of putting in their infrastructure first. They put in their streets, their water, their sewer, detention ponds, and all this kind of stuff, and they leave the lots undeveloped. And so what happens is that they sell those lots off either in groups or singly to individual builders. Well, they're required to put street trees in as part of their infrastructure. But we don't really want them to put the street trees in because we know that when these individual home builders come in to build their homes, they're going to be going back and forth across the street into the lot. And if we have street trees sitting in there between the sidewalk and so forth, there's a good opportunity for them to be accidentally run over or the soil around them crushed or something like that. And so we allow the developer to put money in lieu into a fund called the Tree Escrow Fund. And then over the next 7 years, we wait for that subdivision to be built out. And then at some point during that 7 years, I then go back and we hire a contractor to put trees in that right of way so that they are then planted after all the construction is done on the individual homes. And so later this year, we have money that will be going for those projects, and I'll be bringing to you each one of these projects for you to look at, show you what my plan is, and then you will have the opportunity to look at the plan and give me some feedback on it if you think maybe there's a better way to do something. Or we'll also be looking at the species of trees. So if somebody has, you know, hey, we need these kind of species, we don't have these species in town or something like that, the committee can, you know, put feedback for this. So this is something I'll be bringing to the committee probably in June, might be May. We'll have to look and see how our timing works out on when we got to get our contractor done and everything, like, or get our bid done and so forth like that. So I just wanted to make everybody aware that this is something that will be new this year, be coming to you for your approval.
Didn't know. And the next thing in the agenda, it talks about the Washington County native tree list. You brought us that list last time.
That's in December.
When the last time we met, maybe, or even, and we had the opportunity to, what should we do with this list? What would be a useful thing to do with it?
Well, what we're just looking at right now is, and there is a part on the back, is whether or not you want to officially adopt this as the native tree list of Washington County for the city of Fayetteville. That's the purpose of bringing this before the committee. You don't have to. What we usually do is anything that we use as a document to provide to the development community is possible species for using in their developments and stuff like that. We have it adopted by the Tree and Landscape Committee as an official document.
Okay.
It's kind of an add-on to the landscape manual. In this particular form, it wouldn't be added to the landscape manual because obviously it wouldn't fit, but we'll kind of break it down into some smaller incremental information that can be added.
Okay.
And you'll have it online too, right?
Yeah, it'll be provided as a PDF file online. It'll be on the, this particular case, I believe this one will be on the landscaping requirement page.
Any thoughts on this subject?
Well, we can't look it over so fast. Can we look at it and do something with it next month?
You did give it to us a month ago too, then you, 2 months ago. But
Yeah, I was at the December meeting and the January meeting for everybody to look at. I'm not in a desperate hurry for it. I'd just like to have it off my to-do list.
Yes,
Okay. Did you make this?
Yes, I did. It is based, if you look down in the bottom lower left-hand corner, it is based off the USDA's list of trees native to this, to Washington County. What I started out with was a list of the United States, and I had to whittle through it till I could get down to just Washington County. And then many of these columns you see across the top were in that original database, but then things like xeriscaping and firewise I had to add, and then there's ones on these, whether it's a landscape tree, a parking lot tree, or windbreak, street tree, ice storm resistant, those I all had to add to this.
And didn't we discuss this sometime in the last year?
Yeah, it was discussed, I believe, at our November meeting.
Yeah, I would like to move that we accept it.
And again, I think this is the recommended list. It's not all-inclusive.
does anyone?
Yeah, I mean, at any point, if somebody from the committee or somebody outside the committee has this list and they go, well, why didn't you list so-and-so? We can certainly go back and look at it, and then we add it to the list. I'll bring it back to an amended list. Just the way we have for the recommended street tree list. We've had at least one amendment to it.
Right.
That's right. Even since I've been here, I think you did that. Yeah. We have a
You're
motion.
the expert in the whole group. I think, I mean, I would feel definitely confident in.
Well, I know, like,
This.
Cindy is very, and some
Knowledgeable.
rest, are knowledgeable on the native species, and just, having people have an opportunity to look at it and see if they feel, confident that this is a good list. It's fairly comprehensive. I'm not going to say that it's totally inclusive, but then again, we can always come back and amend it.
Well, and I would move to approve this.
Actually, Betty just moved to approve it, didn't you?
Yes.
And we need a second for her motion.
Okay, I would second with the only comment that what was native in 1850 is not necessarily native today. And with that provision, we can amend it as needed.
Any discussion on this? Or if there's no discussion, that all in favor of accepting this as our first edition of the list, native tree list, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And excuse me, Judy, I want to bring something in that I forgot about and give out to the committee.
Is it on?
Maybe not on the agenda, but
Well, we'll get a space for you, okay? See. Okay, maybe do we want to talk about the local and state workshops of committee? You sent us a couple of things.
Yeah, I think I sent this out via email.
Did we finish our vote?
I'm sorry, I didn't do it really obviously. I asked for the yeas, and the most people said yes.
All right.
I got to get more precise at this.
Again, this was something that would have been better for us to talk about last month, because one of them has already gone and taken place. So that one we're not going to. I just forgot to remove that one from the. I forgot it was the first of the month.
Which one is that? The Green Development
The
meeting?
Tree City USA workshop was scheduled for March 1st.
Okay.
So that one is already gone.
Okay.
But I do want to make. I know it's last minute at this point, but tomorrow. Up in Rogers, there's a green development workshop that's taking place, and it's talking about using trees in riparian areas, conservation design practices, construction site and trees, environmentally friendly development, and low impact development strategies that they have at that workshop tomorrow. And if anybody has tomorrow off and wants to go.
Isn't it $60?
Yeah, I believe it is $60 on that one.
You were thinking about it, were you, Lois?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I got to participate in a lot of learning about low impact when I took the whole day workshop on rain gardens, and the people who designed that low impact manual were there to talk about that and show slides, and so I feel like I have a little bit of a background in low impact development. So, does anybody else? Anyway, you're just telling us that that's available to us, really, aren't you?
Yep, just something of interest that I thought the committee might find of interest.
Good. And then you have on number 8, Online Tree Board University.
Yeah. I just want to pass that out. The state of Oregon has been working, their urban and community forestry program has been working on an in-state tree board university where they can educate people who are on tree boards, such as this group. And they got a grant last year from the U.S. Forest Service to take it national. And so they have developed this website, and they've been working on it for the last 18 months, I believe. And they have now launched this website, and it is a place where you can go and make yourself a login. You can go then into this site, and there's little modules inside of it that you can go through and work on each little module. Each one's a different subject matter, and then you get that you've completed these modules type deal, and they're all different aspects of what a tree board does.
Okay.
Now, tree boards across the country are different, so there's going to be some things in there that apply, and there's going to be some things that don't apply. But I encourage. I haven't even got in myself. I've been meaning to log into this and look more in depth at it, and I haven't had the opportunity yet to do that. So. I can't tell you everything about it. I just know it's available. The login, the web page is down at the bottom if you're interested in going to look at it. So it's just treeboardu.org.
Good to know about. Did Cindy get one of these? Yeah,
Yes.
I see it. Okay. Committee business reports. That's the first one is an education outreach programs. That's the committee that Cindy and and Lois have been meeting on. And we have a non-tree and advisory group member, Bob Kalk, is meeting on it, and Don Steinkraus is meeting on it. And we are trying to create events for people to participate in. The next one that Cindy's going to do on Tuesday. I'll pass this around. If you have a place to post it or anybody to tell about it, feel free. This is what she's talking about on Tuesday. I've been taking him to our Segas and different, I see a window on a bulletin board. She's talking on the Ozark. You want to say something, Cindy, about what you're talking about?
Can I have another one on the
Sure.
board?
Well, This was a real change in my thinking a few years ago. I had an advanced copy of a book by Doug Tallamay, the head of entomology at the University of Delaware. But the basic idea is that we as a society have gotten too freaked out by insects and by other kinds of things, and we need them. We need the bees and the butterflies and the birds and the bats for a lot of different reasons. And we need the insects to feed them because they need the protein to successfully reproduce. So what I want to talk about on Tuesday is bringing this all together and why we really, really need, if I can make only one plea in the world, it would be stop using pesticide. When you see CIDE at the end of the word, it means to kill. And it doesn't know if it's killing good stuff or bad stuff. And we really need to think about that.
So, as many of us can and want to, I'm going to be there. And anybody that wants to, let's do. We'll announce that we're the Tree Landscape Committee and we're here to support Cindy and her efforts on this because it's something I believe in. Then the second meeting, second plan thing is April 7th at 5:30 p.m. and that's going to be an invasive species, invasive plants workshop. We just yesterday met Allison and some of our committee members. It's going to be at the bottom of the Frisco Trail, just north of Prairie Street, where just north of the Greenhouse Grill. You go along the Frisco Trail a little while and there's a park bench on the right. There's a section right in there that we hope to hold or plan to hold this workshop. And that's going to consist of, first, us bringing lots of examples of invasive species plants. Anybody, the thing is, right there, all they have is bush honeysuckle and privet and multiflora roses and maybe some periwinkle or vinca minor. But we need lots of other examples of things that we consider invasive for people to see too. The ivy, you'll have things at home that you want to demonstrate to people. We'll have a table where we can put examples of all these invasive species, and the first person there to speak, or maybe the second person, will at least lead a little identification session on what these are. And then the second part of the session will be where we learn how to remove invasive species plants, the ones that are there on site. We're encouraging people to bring their gloves and gear to help remove them. And we'll demonstrate how to poison them, the ones that we clip, even though we personally are not allowed to use poison, only a licensed poison operator. I bet you know, Bernie Kurtz is the head of the Cooperative Extension, agreed this morning that he will lead that part of the talk, and he probably is a licensed pesticide or herbicide administrator, and he may be able, with your permission, we'll get you two together, but maybe he can actually demonstrate how he uses poison on the site as he clips an invasive species.
Is there a backup plan in the event of inclement weather?
I was thinking of that today. That's a good point.
If it's going to be outdoors, I would think.
We should have another day planned for that. I guess the committee has to decide there. We could agree, we're not really the committee here, but I don't see why the next Tuesday wouldn't work. But I guess we'd have to talk with the main players, the presenters, about that.
Well, we need to talk to like Dr. Steinkraus and a couple other people just to.
But thanks for reminding us of that. We'll definitely cover that in our among us when we make more plans. And I want to say, okay, that's the last event we know of, except in May now. We're probably going to do a native plant workshop at a home, maybe of Karen Rollet Crocker, the local landscape person who did some native landscapes up north from here at Compton Gardens and in Missouri. And she has some empty places at her places where she's going to let us do some on-site landscaping with plants after she goes around and shows us the plants that she has at her spot. So that'll be an on-site thing. We just have to get more details on that, get that worked out. And so, but I should remember that this is only a report of the subcommittee, and you have not approved that we can even do these things yet. And before we go into talking about future possibilities or projects, I would like to ask, I guess I've been running that little committee, I would like to ask for your approval that we hold these two events, that they be sponsored by the Tree and Landscape Committee. Is that okay with you?
I so move.
And I second.
Any more discussion on that subject? Okay, then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And about that committee now, you've agreed these two next events. There are other events that could pop into our heads as we go along that could be happening all year long. And that's one thing to say. And the other thing to say is that any of you that are here are certainly, we would love your help in helping us plan these events, or maybe have an idea for an event and we'll help you plan an event, whatever in that regard. Emily.
I have an idea, because this is something I see a lot of abuse of. I would like to see an event about tree no-nos. For example, when I walk over to Wilson Farm from my house, there is one house where a young tree has been planted in the yard, and for months nobody has even removed tags from it, and there's stuff, you know, like tightly wound around this tree. Nobody's taken it off. The other day I snuck in there and cut one thing off, but there's also some people who have strung wind chimes between two small trees and have tightened a rope very tightly around both of them. And then of course we all see people who let English ivy grow up their trees and start choking them. And not everybody realizes that these things can be harmful to the growth of the tree.
So that could be an event.
I'm sure there's other things, but those are things that I know about and see.
Okay.
Well, I would certainly like to see, Greg, I know you're busy, but even something on tree pruning.
Yeah.
You know, when to do that, in the spring or the fall, or...
So should this committee, if we're the educational outreach committee, would you guys like us to plan another event related to care of trees, pruning and care of trees?
Well, I would defer to Greg as to what time to do that. It may be spring next year, or fall.
Well, if we're doing a pruning workshop, fall or late winter would be a better time to do it, but when they have fall, we start running into celebration of trees, and so probably...
Yeah, so, but that can be something for next year.
You think that'd be better? How does that meet your concerns? Let's see.
Well, you know,
What happens, put it
But
on the list.
I think some simple things that maybe we can print out is like taking the tag off.
Yes.
You know, as simple as that.
Well, if we meet as a committee, we could probably discuss how we could flesh out a whole event, not related to pruning, if we wanted to, about tree. We'd have to think if there was enough information that could be done in an event. So I think our committee should definitely discuss that a little bit, if she brought it up. That
Sure.
If you want to come with us sometime to one of our meetings, or all of them, I mean, it doesn't matter. Okay, so is there anything else, I guess, to say? Anybody else got ideas for the event outreach things? I mean, any other outreach events you'd like to see happening, or do you want us to keep bringing them to you as we think of them and see if you like them or whatever? I guess that's what we'll do.
Yes, that would be good.
Okay, we'll just do it then. Okay. Where are we? Okay, we've done that. I guess you've approved that we have those two events. And then the second thing, subcommittee development, is that?
That would fall more with your goals, I believe, so you can, that was just put on there if you wanted to have a discussion about subcommittees.
If we need any other subcommittees right now on anything.
And so that will probably fall more next month.
Okay. Okay with everybody? That we leave that till we talk about our goals and adopt them? Yes. Okay, and then, oh yes, this other business, does anybody have any other business we should discuss today?
Well, I love trees, I love natives, but I'm also into beautification. In the last, about 6 years, Brent and Becky's bulbs and Fayetteville and Bloom have planted about 200,000 daffodils and other spring bulbs. And we published a little rack card. I'll pass those around and you can give them to anybody. We had like 5,000 printed. And the idea is to increase some tourism and have people drive around. They're at city parks. They're at the Botanical Garden. We planted 10,000 at the library, 3,000 at Clinton House Museum. So they're all over. And let me tell you, I'm still sore. And if you know some places where we can put these we'll do that.
So this kind of tells you where to look for them. When you see daffodils at these places, that means many of them are compliments of this couple, and there are many. We can find daffodils at these places, lots of them.
Right, and I'm hoping to get approved soon where some of the bulbs that are purchased, some money will go to the Fayetteville and Bloom program, but most of these are from volunteers planting them.
Okay, great.
Did you give some of these to Headquarters?
No, I'm gonna go there.
You're gonna go there?
Yeah, I'm gonna go there tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll
Here.
go.
Here.
When we start.
Does anybody else have anything else we need to talk about today?
You don't want to give all.
I just like to ask if Cindy, do you have any information from EAC that would be shareable or to the group? The only thing I know that they were
Ooh, it's EAT.
EAC, Environmental Action Committee.
Oh.
They were very instrumental in helping pass the Streamside Protection Ordinance, which passed last week. I just didn't know if they were, they're still working on the habitat program, the wildlife habitat program. I just didn't know if there was anything else that.
Well, first of all, yes, the Streamside Ordinance passed. I have read where there is a group of citizens trying to overturn that, so I know that we would appreciate any support there. We are working on the habitat project. My specific goal is working with schools, and we have 5 schools now certified as wildlife habitats. We are providing, once they are certified, a kit with bird feeders and bird seed and suet and books that we're getting for free from Arkansas Game and Fish on birds, and I just heard about snakes. So we're giving that because we want the schools to get better, even better. And my only comment for our committee would be when we look at trees and shrubs to be given away this fall, look at natives and how we can really help that particular effort. But I believe we have 100 homes certified. We need 200. We have 5 schools, and now we're working on getting some businesses.
And 25 parks.
Yes, absolutely. The parks are wonderful.
Okay. Certified as in wildlife habitats. Big deal. Good.
And it's not that hard. The biggest problem is really the water feature. You need to provide water.
Well, you have to, an individual home has to pay money to become wildlife habitat.
It's not that expensive. The certification itself is $20. If you want the sign, that's an additional $30. But you don't have to do that.
Any other thoughts today on our subject? Oh, sorry, member of the
Public comment, yes.
Okay.
Please put on your calendar.
Who is this that we're hearing from?
Aubrey Shepherd,
Hi.
sorry, still wearing my hat inside, covers up the shiny spot. Anyway, World Peace Wetland Prairie Earth Day is 17th, Sunday afternoon, from 1 to 5, which is the time we've had now. This will be the 7th year for World Peace Wetland Prairie Earth Day 2011. And it'll be 1 to 5, and that's on South Duncan Avenue, just about a half mile south, or 7 blocks, I guess, south of Brenda's Bigger Burger. And you turn right and cross the straight there, across the town bridge to get over the old Duncan.
And I didn't catch the date, I got the 1 to 5.
17th.
Which?
Sunday.
April.
April 17th.
Sunday
April.
afternoon, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not very well organized with that, but you can, if you go to YouTube and on under Aubrey Shepherd channel, you'll find Earth Day 2010 video, 37-minute video that was made by a cat volunteer.
Is that a participatory event?
Well, people do plant some. For the kids, well, Donna and Kelly usually play there. It's still on the hill, and others. In fact, Emily, I believe,
I'll be
May
there playing
return.
something or other.
She's performed there several years.
Okay.
And so we hope to have children's activities such as planting in little cups, and someone get to dig in the dirt and help weed. But primarily they just get to have fun, and the adults get to hear the music. And you can work some, but you don't have to. It's just there's not much in bloom in a nature area at that time. So that comes later. Cindy donated bulbs last year that are starting to bloom right now.
Well, and I have these little pot makers where you take newspaper and you make a little pot, and then I have sunflower seeds. I'd be more than happy to donate that because the birds love sunflower seeds.
Yes.
And the kids can take them home.
And they can take them home. And
Yeah.
Last year they had something called Prairieville, and it was Donna Sterner created that, and had little activities for them, building a little village of interest.
As I recall, there was also a bird watching walk that Kelly Mulholland's parents, Paige and Mary Bess, took people on.
It was, but it's a terrible time of day for bird watching. You know, she didn't get to show them any things.
Oh.
Plus, when there were so many kids playing out in the back,
It scared the birds.
the birds are pretty much over in my yard
Okay.
during that time, which is adjacent to it, where it's quieter. But it is nice when we do have authorities to talk about birds, such as they, and their experience.
Well, and through
And
Game and Fish, and I think it's Steve Duncan, or is it Dunlap, does anybody know? But he's a local guy, and he can get you like a case of these bird books for free. They're published by the Arkansas Game and Fish.
Well, we usually invite other environmental groups who want to bring their literature, so maybe Audubon, Sierra, various other groups, Game and Fish publications, whatever we can put out there. And Omni Center's been the biggest supporter of it, but you know, it's a public event. It's not geared to any group. And somebody that maybe you might mention coming there to learn something for somebody who doesn't think much of the riparian ordinance, because our neighborhood is a perfect example of the failure to have a riparian protection ordinance along the stream sides in the past, where so many trees were removed in those areas and so much erosion. And that park is an example of what you need near the streams to hold water back, and preferably in everybody's yard. In fact, the park people were over there this afternoon, or today, and they dug, drilled a couple of pipes to put in a wonderful new bicycle rack. A lot of people do come there on bicycles and they try to hide in the bushes, and there's not much to lock them to. So this is going to solve that problem. But the nice thing about that land in particular, and we have so much of it in parts of Fayetteville, out by the street, not even back in the wettest part, they dug a hole this deep through black soil, with no rock, and at the very bottom of the hole, to put in their concrete base, there's a little bit of clay, just a little bit. They hit the clay and they stop. That'll be solid enough. But that's just pure black soil around it, nothing but organic soil. And that's something we need to protect for our native plants and for your own garden, if your yard has that kind of soil. Hillsides don't, it's usually shallow. But anyway, that's the 17th of April. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do I hear do we move to adjourn? Does anyone hear a motion to adjourn for the night?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Billy and Cindy. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Then this adjourn for the day.
All right.